Alright, this video is on frequency tables. So for frequency tables, we started by showing them these two tables and asked them the two questions: what similarities do you see? And most were able to tell us that both tables had tally marks, both tables had numbers next to the tally marks that matched. The differences they saw were that one has numbers and one has words. That's the only difference, really. And then we introduced that the tables above are known as frequency tables. Frequency tables use numbers to record data about how often something occurs. And then we did a dice activity where they rolled a pair of dice 12 times with a partner and added the two together to get some data. So, for example, I think I rolled a 4, a 9, a 7, an 8, a 4 again, an 11, a 12, a 6, 5, a 5, another 4, and another 11. So those were my numbers. Then we had them cut them apart and put them in order from least to greatest. So, for example, mine would have been 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 11, and 12. So once they had them in order from least to greatest, then I handed out a data sheet that had a frequency table in it. We came up with our title together as the frequency dice activity or the rolling dice activity, depending on the class. And then we came up with a column heading, which since it's representing these numbers down at the bottom here, we said that those were the totals of all of our rolls. So it would be total rolled. And then they used the cards that were in order from least to greatest to fill in the column. So 4, 5, remember, did I have a 6? 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 12 were mine. And their table was longer. Then they tallied how many times they got each answer. So 4 I got twice, so I put, or 3 times, so I put 3 tallies. 5 I got twice. 6, 7, 8, 9 I got once. 11 I got twice, and 12 I got once. They tallied how many they got each number, and then they turned those tally marks into numbers. And that is a frequency chart. Then we used this data the next day to make a dot plot, but that'll be in the next video. Okay, so then we went to given data. This is Kelly polled 18 fourth graders to find out their favorite pizza restaurants. So we talked about what would the title be, and they came up with favorite pizza restaurants. And the column is going to have the different restaurants, so the column title would be restaurants. And then we went through our table and we added the name to the column as we came across it. So the first one in our data is the Papa John's. So Papa John's. Then we have Little Caesars, so we added that. And then we see Papa John's again. Well, we don't need to put it in the column again because it's already there, so we move on to the next one, which is Pizza Hut. And then the last one, which is Domino's. Now they start tallying, and I tell them when they are tallying from a list of data, they need to cross it off and put the tally mark. So they would cross off Papa John's, put a tally mark. Cross off Little Caesars, put a tally mark. And so on and so forth. tell them to cross it off as they go so they don't count it twice and so they know they counted everything. Now that they have their tallies, then they would turn that into a frequency, 5, 4, 6, and 3. And I'll hide the shade. We went through step by step. Then I had them come up with a true statement and a false statement about that information. Most of them put as a true statement that Pizza Hut was the most liked, and for the false statement, Domino was the most liked. Okay, answering questions with a frequency table. So our first question was, how many more dogs were owned by 4th graders than cats? Always have them underline than and put a minus sign on top of it because than tells us we're comparing, which is subtraction. So our main idea is than. I have them use the cross off plug in strategy. So dogs, I would cross it off, and dogs is 12, so I would plug in 12. Cats was 7, so I'd plug that in. Oh, sorry, I forgot my details, which is just frequency table, and they can abbreviate that, or they could draw an arrow pointing to the frequency table. In our strategies, we would do our subtraction, 12 minus 7, which is 5, so it would be 5 more dogs than cats. And as most of you know, I don't make them do the how. We just discussed in class how I did the how. Okay, the next problem. Said, how many fewer hamsters and rabbits were there than goldfish and budgies? So again, we would underline than and put a subtraction sign. That would be our main idea. The frequency table is our details. We're going to use our cross off and plug in method. Hamsters, there was 2 of them, and tells us to add. Rabbits, there were 3. Than tells us to subtract, and then goldfish was 6 and tells us to add. Budgies is 3. So we've plugged in. Now we're actually going to do our math. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 6 plus 3 equals 9. And then we're comparing those two numbers. So 9 minus 5 equals 4. So there's 4 fewer hamsters and rabbits. Try to use a bigger eraser so this goes faster. Okay, and the last question on the frequency table. How many total pets are owned by this group of 4th graders? So we would underline total, and that's our main idea. Again, pointing to the frequency chart. And for this one, they would just add all the different frequencies. So 12, 7, and 6. And I kind of have them just chunk it together. Oh, no. Yeah. Sorry, I'm really tired. So 25, 3, 2, 1 and 1 is 2, and 3, which would equal 10, and then add those 2 together, which would be 35. And usually I tell them to cross it off as they add it so they know that they don't add it twice, or to make sure that they have all of them in there. So that would be 35 total. Alright, this one, the teachers at an elementary school were asked how many cups of coffee they drank last week. The frequency table below represents the data that was collected. Which of the following is a true statement? So we always circle true. And our main idea would be true statement. And our details is the frequency chart. For this type of question, they're going to use the cross off and plug in strategy. So 8 A says 5 more teachers drink 8 to 11 cups of coffee than drink 0 to 3 cups. So I would cross off 8 to 11 and plug in the number 8. And 0 to 3 cups and plug in the number of 2. Then we talk about, is 8 5 more than 2? And the answer is no, it is not. So that would be false. An equal number of teachers drink more than 11 cups is drink less than 8 cups. Here we had the discussion that more than 11 would not include 11. That would just be 12 through 15 and 16 through 19. So that would be 3 plus 2, which equals 5. Less than 8 cups would not include 8. It would just be less than that. So the 0 to 3 and the 4 to 7. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Is 5 equal to 5? Yes, so that's a true statement. 3 teachers drink less than 4 cups of coffee. Well, less than 4 would be 2. 3 is not equal to 2, so that's false. A fewer number of teachers drink 8 to 11 cups than drink 12 to 19 cups. 8 to 11 cups would be 8. And 12 to 19, I would be adding 3 plus 2, which equals 5. 8 is not less than 5, so that's a false statement. So my answer would be B. Here, I gave them this piece of paper to glue into their journal, and they had to make a frequency chart based on that information. So together we decided what the order of numbers would be. So it would be 1 is the smallest, then we have 1 1/4, then we have 1 1/2, then we have 2, then we have 2 1/4, and 2 1/2. And then they made the tallies. And made their frequency after that, based on their tallies. And then they had to write 2 questions about that frequency table in their journal and then switch with their neighbor to answer their questions, and they answered their neighbor's questions. So that is frequency tables. The next video will be on dot plot.